A small country is comprised of 4 states, A, B, C, and D. The population of each state in thousands is given in the following table. State A, 138, State B, 156, State C, 264, State D, 402, total 960. According to the country's constitution, the Congress will have 32 seats divided among the 4 states according to their respective populations. Use Hamilton's method to find each state's apportionment of congressional seats. Alright, the first thing that we need to do is calculate each group's standard quota. So I'm going to write that down. And in order to do this, we need to find the standard divisor. The standard divisor will be equal to the total population divided by the number of allocated items. So in this case, the total population is given to us in thousands, so we'll use 960, and we'll divide by the number of allocated seats, which will be 32. And this will be equal to 30. So that's our standard divisor. The next thing that we need to do is find the standard quota. The standard quota will be found by taking the population of a particular group and dividing it by the standard divisor. So we're going to do this 4 times for State A, State B, State C, and State D. So the standard quota equals the population of a particular group divided by the standard divisor. So as I said, we'll do this for each state A, B, C, and D. Okay, so remember that the standard divisor for this particular problem is 30. So we're going to find the standard quota for A, and we're going to call that SQ, and I will use subscripts. So SQ for A, and that will be equal to the population, and for the population of A we'll use 138, and then we will divide that by the standard divisor, which is 30. Now this is going to yield a decimal, and we're going to need to keep that decimal. This decimal is 4.6, and after I calculated all 4 of the standard quotas, we'll talk about what we're going to do with the decimals. So we're going to find standard quota for B, which in this case will be equal to 156 over 30. We will also find the standard quota for C, which will be equal to 264 over 30. And then we will find the standard quota for State D, which will be equal to 402 over 30. So we see that the standard quota for A is 4.6, the standard quota for B is 5.2, standard quota for C is 8.8, and the standard quota for D is 13.4. Now keep in mind that Hamilton's method only uses the lower quota. So we will go ahead and round down each one of these 4 values that we've obtained. So we see that the lower quota for A is going to be 4, the lower quota for B is 5, the lower quota for C is 8, and the lower quota for D is 13. And we will summarize this in the following table. So the first line is the states, second line is the total population, the third line is standard quota, and the fourth line is the lower quota. Notice that I've not put the totals in for the standard quota and the lower quota yet. Now when I add up all of these values for the standard quota, I should get the same number of seats that are in my initial allocation. And if you do add those values together, you will get 32. And we will put that in the table as shown. Now, if you go ahead and sum the lower quotas, you'll see that we end up with a value of 30. And this is going to be 2 seats shy of what our allocation is according to the Constitution in association with the respective populations. So we need to go ahead and allocate those 2 remaining seats, and we're going to do that by using the decimal portion of each of the standard quotas. And we do that by applying these extra or surplus seats and hand them out one at a time to the groups that have the greatest decimal parts until there are no more surplus seats. So we note that for population, or I should say state A, this one has a 0.6 and this one has a 0.8 in state C. So we're going to start with state C and we will add 1 to that. That means that our number of seats will be 9, and now we still have 1 surplus seat left, so we'll add that to state A, and that means that we are now looking at an allocation of 5 seats for state A, 5 seats for state B, 9 seats for state C, and 13 seats for state D. So I will go ahead and fill in a new line, and we'll call that allocated seats. And once we have our allocated seats, we'll go ahead and add those 4 values together, and it will be 32, and this value must match that value.